The law office was exactly what you'd expect from a firm handling old money. All dark wood and leather chairs that probably cost more than my car. I sat at the massive conference table, trying not to fidget as Mr. Patterson, our family attorney for 3 generations, adjusted his wire-rimmed glasses. My brother Marcus lounged in his chair like he owned the place, which after today he practically would. Let's begin the reading of Harold and Elizabeth Montgomery's last will and testament, Mr. Patterson intoned solemnly. I gripped the edge of my chair, already knowing what was coming. Our parents had never been civil about their favorite child. To our son Marcus Montgomery, we leave our primary estate valued at $12 million. Our summer home in the Hamptons valued at $5 million. All stocks and bonds currently held in our portfolio valued at approximately $3 million, and liquid assets totaling. The list went on. With each item, Marcus's smile grew wider. I tried to keep my face neutral, but my stomach churned. 20 years of being the responsible child, the one who stayed close to home, who helped manage the family business while Marcus partied his way through 3 different colleges. And this was the result. Finally, Mr. Patterson turned to me. To our daughter Olivia Montgomery, we leave the old family farm in Montana, previously owned by Harold's father. Marcus actually snorted. The dirt farm? Oh, that's perfect. I remember that farm from my childhood visits to Grandpa James. 500 acres of seemingly worthless land, a creaky old farmhouse, and a barn that looked ready to collapse. Grandpa had spent his final years there, everyone thinking he'd gone slightly mad, muttering about his project and refusing to leave. Additionally, Mr. Patterson continued, there is a letter for Olivia. He handed me a weathered envelope. The paper was thick, expensive, Dad's preferred stationery. Inside was a single sheet. Olivia, we know you'll be disappointed, but Marcus has always shown more business acumen. The family fortune needs a strong hand to guide it. The farm was your grandfather's pride and joy. Perhaps you can make something of it. Dad. I folded the letter carefully, tucking it into my bag while Marcus continued gloating. Don't worry, sis, he smirked. If you need a loan, I'm sure we can work something out. Once I've reviewed the books and made some necessary changes to increase profitability, of course. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. Congratulations, Marcus. I hope you enjoy your inheritance. Oh, I will, he called after me as I walked out. Have fun playing in the dirt. 2 days later, I stood in front of the old farmhouse, key in hand. The Montana wind whipped around me, carrying the scent of sage and wild grass. The house looked even more dilapidated than I remembered. Peeling paint, sagging porch, windows filmed with dust. But something about it called to me. Maybe it was the memories of Grandpa James, his eyes always twinkling like he knew a wonderful secret. Or maybe it was just the profound quiet after the chaos of the past few days. The key turned smoothly in the lock, despite years of disuse. Inside, sheets covered the furniture, but otherwise, everything was exactly as Grandpa had left it. His old books still lined the shelves, their spines cracked and faded. His favorite armchair sat by the window, a worn blanket draped over it. I moved through the house, pulling sheets off furniture, opening windows to let in fresh air. In the kitchen, all his old mugs still hung on their hooks. One caught my eye, a simple ceramic piece with his favorite saying, "Not all treasure shines." The sun was setting when I finally headed to the barn. This was where Grandpa had spent most of his time in those final years. Mom used to say he was out there tinkering with nonsense while the family fortune grew without him. The barn door protested as I pushed it open. Dust motes danced in the fading light that streamed through gaps in the old wood. Tools lined the walls, and various pieces of equipment I couldn't identify sat covered in tarps. But it was the massive safe in a corner that drew my attention. I'd never seen it before. It must have been hidden behind equipment during my childhood visits. It was ancient solid steel, with a combination dial that looked like something from a bank heist movie. My heart started pounding. Next to the safe was a dusty frame. Inside was a photograph I remembered from my last visit. Grandpa and me sitting on the porch steps. I was 12, gangly and serious in my school uniform. He was laughing, his arm around my shoulders. But what caught my eye was the series of numbers written in his familiar scrawl across the bottom. For Olivia, when the time comes. 12 to 35, 82 to 17-9. My hands trembled as I turned to the safe. Could it really be that simple? I spun the dial carefully. 12, 35, 82, 17, 9. The mechanism clicked. Inside, stacked neatly on metal shelves, were dozens of leather-bound notebooks. Maps covered in markings and annotations, geological surveys, mineral rights documents, and on top another letter, this one in Grandpa's handwriting. My dearest Olivia, if you're reading this, then they did exactly what I expected. They gave you the farm because they thought it was worthless. Your father never understood what I found here. He was too busy chasing paper wealth to see real value. But you, my girl, you always understood that true worth isn't always visible on the surface. You have your grandmother's eyes, always looking deeper than others do. What I found here is going to change everything. But first, you need to understand what you're really holding. Start with the red notebook. It explains the initial surveys. I picked up the red notebook with trembling fingers. The first page made my breath catch. Preliminary analysis, rare earth elements estimated deposit size. One of the largest untapped reserves in North America, current market value. Incalculable. I sank to the dusty floor, the notebook clutched to my chest, as the magnitude of Grandpa's secret began to dawn on me. This wasn't just a dirt farm. This was an empire waiting to be built. My hands shook as I read through Grandpa's notebooks late into the night. The kitchen table was covered in his research, detailed geological surveys, market analyses, environmental impact studies. This wasn't the work of a crazy old man tinkering with nonsense. This was the methodical research of a brilliant mind who had discovered something extraordinary. The farm sat on one of the largest deposits of rare earth elements in North America. These minerals, critical for everything from smartphones to electric vehicles to military technology, were worth billions. But that wasn't even the most remarkable part. Grandpa had developed a revolutionary extraction method that minimized environmental impact. His notes detailed a process that would avoid the toxic waste and environmental destruction typically associated with rare earth mining. The world needs these elements, he wrote, but not at the cost of destroying the land. I knew I needed to find a better way, and I knew I needed to find the right person to carry it forward. As I read, memories flooded back. Grandpa teaching me about different types of rocks when I was little, taking soil samples together during my summer visits, him watching with approval as I insisted on replanting areas where we dug. He'd been preparing me all along. The next morning, I made 3 phone calls. The first was to Dr. Sarah Chen, a leading expert in rare earth elements at MIT. Within an hour of receiving Grandpa's research, she called back, her voice trembling with excitement. This extraction process, it's revolutionary. We've been trying to solve this problem for years. Your grandfather was a genius. The second call was to James Morton, an environmental lawyer I'd worked with at my old firm. The permits are already in place, he said, amazed. Your grandfather filed everything under a shell company 20 years ago. They're still valid. He thought of everything. The third call was to Marcus. He answered on the first ring, probably hoping I was calling to beg for money. Having fun playing farmer? He asked smugly. Actually, I'm calling to give you a chance to invest in something extraordinary. He laughed. What, you need help fixing up that worthless property? No, I said calmly. I'm offering you a chance to be part of what's about to become one of the most valuable mining operations in North America. But you'll have to act fast. I'm meeting with other investors this afternoon. There was a long pause. What are you talking about? Come see for yourself. Bring your financial advisors. But just know, this is a courtesy offer because you're family. I don't actually need your investment. 2 days later, Marcus stood in the barn, staring at Grandpa's research with a face that had gone from skeptical to stunned to almost green with envy. His team of experts had verified everything. The mineral deposits, the extraction process, the permits, all of it. This is worth, he swallowed hard. Billions, I finished for him. With the current market for rare earth elements and Grandpa's environmentally sound extraction process, we're looking at potential valuations over $50 billion. He tried to rally. Our lawyers will contest the will. Dad couldn't have known about this when he... Actually, he did. I pulled out another letter I'd found in the safe. Grandpa told him about the initial discovery 30 years ago. Dad dismissed it as another one of his crazy schemes. He never bothered to verify it. That's why Grandpa created all these shell companies and trusts, to protect his work until it reached the right person. Marcus sank into a chair. He knew. Dad knew about this and still gave it to you. He gave it to me because he thought it was worthless. I corrected him, just like he thought I was worth less than you. I walked to the window, looking out over the land that held such extraordinary treasure. You know what's ironic? All those years of business school, all those lectures about seeing value and seizing opportunities, and Dad missed the biggest opportunity of all because he couldn't see past his own prejudices. So what now? Marcus asked, his voice small. You're just going to cut the family out? I turned back to him. No, I'm offering you a chance to be part of something revolutionary. Not as the controlling interest, that's non-negotiable, but as a partner. A real one who has to work and prove their worth, not just coast on their name. And if I refuse, then you'll have to content yourself with your $20 million inheritance while I build a company worth billions. I smiled. Your choice. Over the next year, everything changed. Montgomery Sustainable Resources became a leader in rare earth element mining, with contracts from major tech companies around the world. Our environmentally sound extraction process set new industry standards. The worthless farm became the cornerstone of a new kind of mining empire. Marcus did eventually join the company, and surprisingly, being forced to work his way up from a lower position taught him some humility. He turned out to be quite good at international sales, once he learned to listen more than he talked. Mom and Dad stopped talking about business acumen and started avoiding business discussions altogether. It was too uncomfortable to acknowledge how spectacularly wrong they'd been. As for me, I kept Grandpa's old mug in my office. Not all treasure shines, to remind me of the quiet man who saw value where others didn't. The farmhouse, restored but still modest, became my favorite place to work. The creaky porch steps where Grandpa and I used to sit were perfect for reading reports as the sun set over the Montana hills. One evening, as I sat there reviewing proposals for our latest expansion, I found an old photo tucked in one of Grandpa's notebooks. It showed him as a young man, standing proudly on this same porch. On the back, he'd written, "True wealth isn't in what you have, but in seeing what others miss." He taught me that lesson well. While my family was busy chasing shiny things, he'd shown me how to look deeper, work harder, and find value in unexpected places. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's proving your grandfather right.